ice cream and other coffee items. But the show must and will go on. The official opening in the main arena was highlighted by a grand parade of the winning beef stock and show jumpers. The Maitland showgirls grabbed the crowd's attention, but were briefly outshone by the Carlton United Clydesdale team. The big horses are always the public favourite. Show organisers say the Clydesdale jumping was one of the best and most competitive ever. The Maitland show continues tonight, and the crowds are expected to grow as the temperature drops.
The club's extensions have cost $1.35 million and has incorporated a major rebuilding program. Sir James and Lady Rowland were officially welcomed to Singleton by the club president, Mr. Ray Mantle, who said the club had had to borrow a substantial amount to construct the extensions. The major portion was obtained through a loan from the Singleton sub-branch of the RSL, and the remainder arranged through the Westpac Bank. The governor then officially opened the new extensions and unveiled a plaque before an inspection of the premises. Meanwhile, this morning, Sir James and Lady Rowland also attended Singleton's first Senior Citizens Centre for an official opening. The centre was constructed over 40 weeks at a cost of $350,000 and was funded by the council with a Commonwealth Government 2-for-1 grant. The centre now boasts over 400 members. Sir James and Lady Rowland were welcomed by Shire President Councillor Neil McNamara, who then accompanied the governor as he unveiled the plaque commemorating the centre's official opening.
St John's Hall has been a Cooks Hill landmark since 1857, and 7 months ago this is how the building looked, cracked and dilapidated. Despite this, the hall was and is used by a wide range of community groups, and for that reason the Anglican Church applied for a $153,000 Community Employment Program grant to restore it. The rest of the $220,000 restoration cost is being raised by the church. Today, the Governor of New South Wales, James Rowland, attended a church service to mark the completion of the project and the 125th anniversary of the church. Later, the official party and more than 400 guests gathered outside the doors of the church hall, where Bishop Holland gave his blessing. Sir James then turned the key on what is hoped to be a new era for St John's. The hall is classified by the National Trust, and despite the addition of a kitchen, toilets and storerooms, the building now looks much as it did 130 years ago. The church plans to make the hall a centre for the aged, the handicapped, the lonely and the youth of the area. Canon Eric Barker says the hall will be used as what he calls a care and share centre.
Every parish must have a hall to serve, because it must serve the community, and our job is not only to care for the spiritual needs of man, but his social needs, his physical needs and educational needs.
As the sun set on the Maitland show yesterday evening, the rain began to fall. For the most part, the crowds had gone home, and many exhibitors inside show alleys had started to pull up sheds. Rain has dogged the show in recent years, and the drizzle in the last few hours of the three-day event probably took the edge off the attendance figures. Far from setting a hoped-for record, the total attendance was only about 28,000, more than 2,000 down on last year. One bright spot for organisers was the crowd on Saturday. Despite the fierce heat during the day which kept attendance down, the crowd swarmed through the gate on Saturday night for a one-day record of 16,000 people. Show director Mr. Ron Dalton told me that despite some problems, the event was a great success.
Overall, we're extremely pleased. The President, Mr. Brian Maheen, and all the committee have been delighted with the standard of ring events, the pavilions, the agricultural exhibits, and the crowds, although a little bit down on last year, were certainly pleasing.
Accommodation for new students is an annual problem at Newcastle University, but this year there are added complications. There's been an increase in enrolments, and also Newcastle has joined the Universities and Colleges Admissions Centre, which means there are more students from outside the city applying and looking for somewhere to live. The Vice Principal of the University, Professor Ken Dutton, says there's also
I think the other thing is that a number of the people who traditionally have been able to offer accommodation to students, particularly pensioners I'm thinking of, have become rather worried that they might lose some pension entitlements or part of their pension benefits, which I gather is not really the case, because if people were to contact the Department of Social Security, I think they'd find that the news was really quite pleasant to them, that they could take on a student boarder without significantly affecting their pension entitlements.
The accommodation officer, Ms. Kat Darcy, says there's an urgent need for accommodation for first-year male students. The Student Representative Council President, Daniel Lucas, says his office has been
took him back to my
inundated
place
with
to
students
help him out
seeking
for the
advice.
weekend. We have lots of overseas students coming in. That's, I think, the greatest problem with students on campus. Country students and overseas students coming in, not having anywhere to go.
The problem of accommodation at Newcastle University is so serious that it's feared many students may go to other universities or give up their hopes of a tertiary education altogether.
The registration ceremony is a symbolic recognition of the Newcastle Bicentenary Community Committee by the Government Australian Bicentenary Authority. Mr. Walsh will attend some 120 such ceremonies before the registrations are completed, but the Newcastle Committee decided to make sure we wouldn't forget this city. Mr. Walsh says the funds have been divided into state projects, federal projects and joint efforts, but will Newcastle get its fair share of the bicentenary allocation?
I suppose what a fair share is something that has to be determined. There's already been some funds provided by the federal and state governments for the Foreshore Beautification Scheme, but that's not the end of the story. We have a state program, and under that there's a commemorative program with heritage, environment projects, history writing projects, and we have by no means made all the commitments under that program, and there's some good projects from the region and also from Newcastle itself, and we hope that when at the end of the day people will feel that the funds have been used on an equitable basis.
The 6th Newcastle wool sales for the current wool season, after day 2 of the 3-day sales, have become extra significant. As Brokers Association Chairman Mr. Bill Freeman says, not only is it the last of the fine wool sales, the lower value of the Australian dollar has already had a big impact.
The effect is quite dramatic, and it's reflected in the price levels we're seeing at wool sales this week. It's made our Australian wool very cheap on world markets, and most of the trading, of course, is done in US dollars, so buyers are able to get more wool for their money, and it's as simple as that.
Well, say compared to this time last year, can we look at any percentage differences?
Yes, John, the levels for fine wools are quite staggering compared to 12 months ago. In many cases, fine wool is 30% dearer than what it was this time last year.
And I believe, as far as you're concerned, over the past day or two there's been somewhat of a scramble.
Yes, John, very correct. This is the last superfine wool sale to be held in Newcastle this season, and for buyers that have missed out, it's their last opportunity. So there is a scramble, and coupled with the dollar devaluation, we're seeing a very significant market change.
So great news for the primary producer, but bad news for others.
Well, perhaps that may be so, but from a primary production point of view, it's good news.
that these things are carried through
In
now.
Newcastle,
Now, there were certain
227
commitments
public servants
that
supported
Bill
the
Kelty
leader's recommendation,
gave
while only
that
4
he-
voted against it in a meeting at Newcastle Workers' Club, which lasted only 25 minutes. I spoke with Ms. Vicky Telfer, chairperson of the Hunter sub-branch of the Administrative and Clerical Officers Association. Vicky, what do you think the bands here in Newcastle have achieved?
I think what has been achieved is that we've brought a lot of pressure to bear on the government. It's made the ACTU realise that we're not pussycats around in the industrial scene anymore, and that we can have a big impact, and that the Accord must be supported by all parties.
The executive here today seemed a little surprised that, 4 people didn't go along with the vote. What do you think their motivation might have been?
I think probably their motivation was that they would have liked to have kept with the 8.3% pay claim. However, it has to be remembered that that pay claim was dismissed on the 10th of January, and we had to go forward. We've now got a revised pay claim which seemed suitable to most of the members here.
What is this particular group hoping to achieve, Carmen?
Well, our present aims are for support for parents, to try and get the parents of these children together in a happy environment, or at least in a comfortable environment.
You're also hoping to get support from other sectors of the community, not just parents who are affected.
That's right. Anybody that is interested at all, or anyone who has any other ideas that may be useful to us. The main thing is we want to sort of have picnics, bus trips, things like that for the children.
Things to give them some fun in their lives.
Yes.
What special things do you want to see the group achieve, John?
Well, I want the group to be able to come to the aid of the families with these children, terminally ill children, with financial help, legal help, whatever necessary. I've found several families as I've gone around to the hospitals and the homes. I've found that some of them had no food in the house, and I've had to go out and approach other charities to try and get food in the house and help them in that way.
And this would be basically, John, because the fathers had to give up work to help mind other children while the mother's been away and so on?
Yes, what it is, the father has to give his job away because at present the mother has to be in Sydney with the child for chemotherapy and ray treatment and things like that.
The Southern Hemisphere's tallest flagpole was erected at Mount Hutton. For more than an hour, it was steady as she goes on the site of the nearly completed $20 million Lake Macquarie Fair shopping centre on Wilson's Road. The flagpole is 12 stories high, weighs 5 tonnes and was manufactured by the Sydney-based company Adder Flagpoles. It was transported by truck in 3 pieces to its location and once welded together, struck its gigantic pose, which will no doubt become a local landmark. On the other hand, a Newcastle product had reached the stage where it was ready for its new home in Sydney, on Sydney Harbour to be precise. I refer, of course, to the catamaran ferry Charlotte, built by Carrington Slipways and launched today. It was the last in this series of ferries to be constructed by Carrington Slipways, and the champagne honours were carried out before a small but well-represented and enthusiastic crowd. The ferry also represented good work by the local firm who met each contract on time and kept its high reputation intact.
Water conditions were described as testing, with the southerly breeze throwing up 1 to 2 metres of swell. Merriweather lost its march past Crown to North Narrabeen, but the local competitors grabbed their fair share of the glory, with the girls leading the way. Nobby youngster James Whitcomb took gold in the 7 years girls flag, as with the home club's tennis bout in the 13 years event. The boys' successes came in the board events, with Fingles Dew Bonnie winning in 9 years, Swansea Belmont's Drew Blatchford winning in 11 years, and his clubmate Matthew Rees taking it out in 12 years. Meanwhile, brothers Sandy Bonnie and Aaron Blatchford had to settle for bronze in their age group. The state's top club is Wanda from Sydney. While the youngsters battled it out in the open seas, the grown-ups took to the calmer conditions in Belmont Bay as part of the Big Lake Open weekend. Top club Swansea Belmont won the Inland Carnival from Redhead. Surfboat legend Ken Murray had a field day, with his Open, Junior and Reserve crews all winning. Swansea Belmont's Tim Allen took the Open Ironman event, with Redhead's young Darren Hoey taking out that title in the Juniors. 7 Newcastle clubs and Soldiers Beach from the Central Coast took part. Meanwhile, Rage of Our Town, a scow owned by Lake Macquarie Club Commodore Fred Williams and sailed by top skipper John Moore, proved for the second year in a row to be not only the fastest monohull on the lake, but to be in a class above any other sailing machine. It's built to go, and it does. It won by 12 minutes. But of the rest, the 505 of Toronto dominated, taking 7 of the next 10 places. Mars, sailed by Paul Remington, got second, with former world champion Terry Kerwood next in Lindy Lou.
They just want to support all the other kids and me for having leukemia.
They ask you about it much?
No.
How do you feel about all the kids helping you out?
Good.
10-year-old Jeffrey Young has become the focus of this year's telethon through the advertisement with Colin Hewitt. Jeffrey, along with many in the Hunter region, has leukemia.
Did you ever know that you're my hero?
JEP and his classmates at Tara Public School took part in a run-a-thon to raise money for the cancer appeal.
The kids are really on top. They're feeling absolutely tremendous about it. They've organised all their own sponsors. They're doing a tremendous job walking. They'll now go out and collect all their monies, and they feel wonderful, even to the stage where we have the high school students that have come back from last year to walk with them.
With Jeffrey also in your school, is he treated any differently than the other children?
Jeffrey is treated exactly the same as every other child in the school. He doesn't want it any other way. We don't want it any other way. He is just a normal, run-of-the-mill school pupil.
Do the other children understand what's wrong with him?
I think the older children do. He has had quite a bit of time off, and they realise what's going on. But don't treat him any differently to any of the others.
Lingard is a name
Doctors in the Hunter
by
being
doctors.
canvassed to ascertain where they stand on forcing
The Hunter Valley
occupations
Private
legislation.
Hospital, as it's called now,
President of the Hunter Medical
is
Association,
the
Dr.
opinion
Ian
at the
Walker.
present time. The Hunter Medical Association has sent out today a form asking for a plebiscite for the opinion of the members regarding the latest events in the dispute. And we should have the answer of that plebiscite on Tuesday or Wednesday of next week.
Doctors here are also under fire from the trade union movement. At a Medicare Defence Committee meeting last night, it was decided to investigate the ownership of private hospitals. And if doctors are involved, then some action may be taken. This action may include a union ban on any extensions or renovations to these hospitals. The report will be presented to Trade Hall Council on March 7th, when it will be determined whether any retaliatory action will be taken. Dr. Walker says he wants the opportunity to
Points
talk
to
about
that,
the issue
Janelle,
with
as
the
I see it.
council.
First of all, if the Trade Hall Council wishes to discuss any issue in the medical sphere, they only have to talk to us. we will make ourselves available to discuss the issues and come to some kind of consensus, we hope, before they make decisions on their own. Secondly, if the union decides to censor, blackmail, browbeat doctors without listening to the doctor's point of view, I think they are being undemocratic, and they are doing to doctors which they would not do to their own members, and if it was done to their members they would be the first to complain.